Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carter Walker. Love talking about movies, music, games, and comics. And I just watched one of my most anticipated movies of this year, which was Scream 6. And I'm going to talk heavy spoilers about it right now. So if you're not interested in spoilers, haven't seen the movie, please click off as soon as possible because I'm really excited to talk about the spoilers of this movie. Give you like 5 seconds. And while I'm taking that time, I am a big fan of Scream. I just did a spoiler-free review of the movie. Overall, I really loved the movie. Thought it was great. Of course, it has a few flaws. Some things that I really didn't love, especially in the third act. I'll get into that. But yeah, I thought Scream 6 was great. I really enjoyed it. Good time, great kills. The kills are probably the highlight of this movie, like I talked about in my spoiler-free review. So I'm going to kind of dive into the movie piece by piece. I'll go into details. I'll probably miss something. If you think I missed something big, something that you really liked, something that you hated, leave it down in the comment section below. I love talking anytime. I love talking movies with people, so just be sure to let me know. I'm just trying to speed through this, so I can get like a quick yet decently accurate review of the spoilers out there and like who lives, who dies, my thoughts on everything, because most of my thoughts on the spoilers come from the last act. However, I can't really talk about that without kind of diving into the whole movie, so I'm just kind of like speed running the movie. Anyways, but the movie starts out with probably my favorite opening scene since the original. It might even tie it, which might be blasphemy to say, especially for someone like me. I worship the first Scream movie. But it did something that was really inventive, really creative, and I really loved it. I thought it did like such a cool job, and I had a little bit of it spoiled for me before release. I had quite a few things spoiled for me before release, which sucks, but when you're on the internet, especially in like movie circles, as much as I am, it's kind of like bound to happen. Still a bummer. So the movie starts out with Samara Weaving's character at a bar. She's a film professor, which I didn't expect. I kind of forgot she was in this movie. And she gets a call, she's trying to meet someone, and she's eventually lured outside, and she's like talking about slashers, which is one of the only times the movie references that, it has meta commentary, which was probably one of my biggest problems with the movie. But here it was awesome because it talked about meta commentary and slashers from the early 2000s or 90s. I was like, let's go, 20th century slashers. And then she's lured outside, and she goes into an alleyway, and then she's just like annihilated by Ghostface. And it was super brutal. Like she's like screaming and stabbing, and like people in my theater were like, oh my gosh, he's killing her. I was like, yeah, he's killing her, that's for sure. And then Ghostface like crouches down, and then he takes off his mask, which like first off, like holy cow, we never had a Ghostface reveal like this early in the movie. That was insane. I was so happy because the Scream movies are awesome. I might make a video about this of what I would want to see in Scream 7. I actually should make a video about that. But I think that them switching up some of the formulas, like revealing a Ghostface early on, or having it be like one Ghostface, 3 Ghostfaces, or more, having Ghostface win, I think would be great ideas to keep the franchise fresh and continue onward. And they reveal Ghostface right here, and it's Tony Revolori. He's most notably from Spider-Man: Homecoming and Far From Home, No Way Home. At least for me, big Marvel fan. He's Flash Thompson in those movies. And he also features on Logic's Final Days. So he takes off his mask, and it's Tony, and he's like, oh my gosh, I did it. He like cleans up the crime, heads back to his apartment, and he like goes in with his roommate, who's not there, and he's like talking to himself, and he opens up a closet full of like stab memorabilia, which is basically Scream memorabilia, and is just like, oh my gosh, I did it. I'm so pumped. Like, I can't believe it. And then he gets a call from his roommate. He's on the phone, and it ends up, of course, not being his roommate, but there's some great dialogue just about how, like, it felt like she was a piece of meat. I was like, dude, that's pretty vile. That's pretty brutal. Nice. And then there's a great, like, hot and cold game that they play, and eventually it leads him to the fridge, and he opens the fridge, and his roommate's body is stuffed in there with, like, a decapitated head, which was super brutal. I was like, wow, they did that shiz, bro. They went there. And then he gets stabbed. I forget where. It might be pretty... Oh, yeah, he gets, like, gutted a little bit. Sorry, there's a lot of stabbings in this movie. I might forget who dies, how. Most of them get stabbed. But he gets gutted. That was pretty brutal. And then the movie has a title card. And then Sam is in therapy, and she talks to her therapist about how it felt right to kill Richie, and he gets freaked out. And basically we get this cool thread set up that, people think that Sam was the killer. Sam orchestrated Woodsboro, and she did stab Richie 23 times and then slit his throat, which I don't know, man. That might be some pretty damning evidence. But there's a great scene about that and just kind of like how she's innocent. She didn't do it. And then the movie switches gears. You go to a party and you meet Tara and Chad and Mindy and Annika and Ethan again and get to see what they're up to. And then you have Sam back at her apartment with her roommate Quinn, who's just getting laid. She's getting dick down, so that's pretty cool. There's a few funny moments from that I thought were pretty good. And then basically Sam follows Tara to the party. There's a big scuffle, blah, blah, blah. And they all are on their way home. And Tara and Sam basically are upset with each other because Sam is super overbearing, but Tara is also super rude to her, wants her completely out of her life, kind of. And just they are having trouble communicating, a good balance, which is the big, like, crux of their relationship in this movie. And on their way back, Sam gets splashed with, like, Diet Coke, and people are like, oh my gosh, you're the killer, you're a murderer. Water break. Anyways, so Sam's ID gets found at the scene of Jason's murder, and Quinn's dad, who's a detective, played by Dermot Mulroney, he calls in, and he's like, hey, Sam, you need to come down to the station. You're not clear of this yet. And so she goes down to the station with Tara, and on their way down, they get attacked by Ghostface, and they have this big chase scene. They end up at this bodega, and, classic New York, he's like, hey, what's your problem, guy? And then Ghostface is like, you're not that guy, pal. And then just, like, stabs him in the neck, and then stabs a few other people, and then the shop owner comes out with a shotgun. Ghostface freaking stabs that dude, and has a shotgun and just blasts him away, and starts blasting all over the store, just firing that thing, trying to kill everybody. Mostly just Tara and Sam, and shooting at him, and then they escape. They make their escape, and the cops come, and he leaves a mask at the scene of the crime. And then they meet up and then the FBI gets put on with Kirby, and she is now an FBI officer, Kirby from Scream 4, and she does a great job on this, by the way. Hayden Panettiere kills it. She gets put on the scene of the crime with Detective Bailey and Sam and Tara, and basically it's set up. And I'm summarizing a lot of this. It's not always in this order. But basically, the Ghostface killer is leaving masks from previous Ghostface killers on the scene. So it starts out with, at the scene of Jason and his roommate's murder, it's, oh my goodness, Amber Freeman and Richie Kirsch from the fifth one. And then on the scene of the bodega murder, it was Jill Roberts and Charlie, forgot his last name, not Jill Roberts. And then, they get released from questioning. And as they walk out, Gail runs up and asks them a question, and Sam and Tara are mad at Gail because she said she wouldn't write a book about what happened in 2022, but Gail wrote a book anyways because she got to make that paper. And then Sam goes to punch Gail. Gail dodges it. Really freaking funny scene, actually. And then Tara comes in and just decks Gail. I thought it was really funny. I loved that part. I thought it was just like great chemistry between the new cast and the old cast. And they get in the car and they go. And then back at Sam's therapist's house, he's just watching TV, and then he hears something at the door, so he goes to go look. And then it just gets his head, Ghostface, it's from the shot in the trailer, Ghostface is standing at the door, goes up to the door to look who it is, and then Ghostface, grabs him and just, slams his head against the thing, and then stabs him, through the nose, right here. That was pretty gnarly. That was a kill where everyone in the theater was like, oh my gosh, holy freak. And then Ghostface goes and steals Sam's file, and then he's gone. So then after that, they all head back to their apartment, and it's Sam, Tara, Mindy, Chad, Quinn, Mindy's girlfriend, Annika. All of them are together, and they're watching something, and then Sam has been hooking up with this hot dude across the hall. It's Josh Segarra from She-Hulk, and freak, he's from something else. I forgot what he's in. Arrow, another thing. He's in something else too that I actually just watched, and he's a good actor. I like him a lot. He does a great job in this. He's the cool guy. He's super hot in this movie. They talk about that a lot, and I was at first I was nah, and then I was yeah, maybe. He does a great job. In the window, they're having dinner, and then he sees in another window Ghostface kills Quinn. He's trying to get their attention, and then Ghostface throws Quinn out the door, and everyone's oh my gosh, and he stabs Mindy in the arm, and he stabs Annika in the stomach and cuts her up, and that was pretty gross. He cuts up, starts to gut her. Anyways, they all fight Ghostface. Tara and Chad end up outside in the stairwell, and Mindy, Sam, Annika, and just those three. Mindy, Sam, and Annika are inside. So Quinn's dead, and they're running around, and then Josh Segarra, I think his name's Teddy, grabs a ladder and puts it out his window into the bathroom window. And they're all in the bathroom. They're holed up in there. And they start to climb out, and they see Quinn's dead, like, boy toy. He's dead in the tub. Pretty cool. And then they all climb out on the ladder. You know, Sam goes, and then Mindy goes. Then Annika starts to go, and Ghostface is cold, man. He comes out and he starts shaking that ladder, and he just, like, slams it. And then Annika, like, falls to her death and just nails her head on a dumpster. That was pretty gnarly. That was pretty cool. All the kills in this movie are awesome. And the pacing in the first half is great. I loved the pacing. Actually, the pacing throughout was great. And the performances are all good. You know, you don't really know who's Ghostface yet. There's no, like, crazy clues. And I actually had Ghostface spoiled for me before, so I'm honestly not sure if I would have, like, known. Shoot, dude. That was a good scene. And then they're all outside, and then Ethan, the quirky white boy, comes up, and Chad, like, freaks out at him, and he's like, "Where were you last night?" Ethan's like, "I was at Econ. There's 100 people who can vouch for me in the study hall." And Chad's like, "All right, never mind." And then Detective Bailey gets taken off the case, and they find another Ghostface mask. I can't remember if this is the one from, I think it's Roman Bridger from Scream 3, if I remember correctly. Basically, they leave Roman's mask, and Kirby and Detective Bailey are talking about it, and she's like, "Dang, man, he was all alone. Props to him." And that was pretty funny. Shoot, I think that's wrong. I think Roman's mask is left at the therapist's house. I'm having a hard time remembering. There's a lot of masks, a lot of kills in this movie. Anyways, Gale's like, "Guess what? I'm a great journalist." Takes him to what is one of my favorite set pieces or sets in the entire franchise, a massive shrine that Jason from the beginning had of Ghostface. And it's all the killers. He has all of their outfits. He has different memorabilia. And I'll just name off some that I saw. He had a drawing of the Principal Himry and the rope that Principal Himry was hung with that we never saw. He had Casey Becker's boyfriend tied up. I believe his name was Steve. He had a mannequin of him duct taped to a chair. All the costumes of the killers. The knife that Gale was stabbed with. Well, the knife that Kirby was stabbed with. The knife that Billy Loomis used. The TV that fell on Stumacher's head. Jill Roberts' shirt. I don't even know if her name is Jill Roberts. I forget her last name. Jill's shirt. Charlie's shirt. The photograph of Kirby's bloodstain. Sorry if it sounds like I'm mixing up characters' names. It's just literally there's probably everything in there if you look hard enough. There probably is a photograph of a bloodstain of Gale's, a drawing of Dewey getting gutted, photos of Dewey, the knife that was used on Dewey, etc., etc. It's like any memorabilia that you could think of from Scream, even stuff that you wouldn't think of, is there. Like, I think it was really cool, especially like a deep cut of fans of the first movie, to have the rope that Principal Himry was hung with. Something you don't see, it's only mentioned, and it's just like a throwaway line. That was cool. Like you wouldn't normally see that, but I saw that, I was like, whoa, that's sick. So that was pretty cool. And then you also see like a bunch of other stuff. Like, I'm probably wrong on this, but you see like drawings of Sidney, you see drawings, I think, of Tatum, you see drawings of, I think you see like photographs of Maureen Prescott, maybe some of Cotton Weary. There's just a lot. Like, I'm totally missing some, but it's just like a million references in like a minute and a half, which I thought was a really cool idea, really original, and very awesome to see. So they just kind of talk about how, you know, it's like crazy that there's so much here. And then that's when Gale and Sam have a really great heart-to-heart about Dewey and like how you need to hold on to family, and Dewey's theme plays, and I was like, I love you, Dewey. Sam gets up to the Billy Loomis costume and knife and has a vision of Billy. So it's nice to see Skeet Ulrich return again. That was pretty cool. And then they go try and trap Ghostface, and Mindy is like being super weird to Kirby, which I thought was kind of annoying. She's just like, "You can't trace a call line. I know this. I know how this ends. And it's like, she's like the worst version of Randy, which really bugged me. That part was annoying. It's like, dude, just let Kirby do her job. She's a freaking FBI agent. Like, she can trace a call in 15 seconds, but she says, like, just shut up, Mindy. Just please shut up. Mindy just really didn't shut up in this movie. It kind of bothered me. I know that's her character, and the actress does like a good job portraying her. I just think it's the way that she's written. Because I really liked Jasmin Savoy Brown in 5, and I think she does a good job here in 6. I just think she's a little overbearing, a little over the top. Anyways, they try and trap Ghostface, and then they trace the call to Gale's apartment, so they all hurry and run to Gale's apartment. And then we get the phone call scene with Gale, and Ghostface kills her boyfriend. and chases her into a bathroom where she gets her gun, and then she shoots at him, doesn't quite get him, and then she does a really good job where she's on the phone with the killer, and then she's like, I'm gonna put you on hold, and dials, I think it's her boyfriend's phone, someone else's phone, and it rings from a closet, and she just blasts the closet with her gun, which I was like, you know what, Gail, you're freaking badass, like, let's go, dude. That was awesome to see. And then she goes to check the closet, the killer jumps out, stabs her in the chest, stabs her in the leg, and then she's like kind of not doing too hot. She knocks out the killer and then goes to steal the knife, and he stabs her with a piece of glass. And here's where one of my gripes from my non-spoiler review comes in. The stakes in this movie really aren't here for any returning characters. The returning characters have like crazy plot armor. Like, Gale should be dead, let's just be honest. They should have just killed Gale because she's not mentioned or seen after this scene. Actually, holy crap, I just realized that. She's mentioned, but she's not seen after. She's basically dead. Like, you know, Sam and Tara come in, chase Ghostface away, the paramedics come in, and Gale fake dies, and then they're like, oh, she's got a weak pulse, let's get her. I feel like they killed her, and then test screenings like weren't too good, so then they added in like a small, like, oh, she's got a weak pulse, and like a few more sentences about her in the very, very end, because it just feels like she really was supposed to die here. And honestly, I think she maybe should have. I think this movie could have benefited from killing another character, definitely a returning character. There's 2 more opportunities for it later down on the movie I'll talk about, but I think that if they killed Gale or one of the other 2 characters that definitely should die, I think it would have benefited the movie quite a bit, because it definitely feels low stakes. I don't know how people survive from so many stab wounds, but they do. It was funny. It's like, you know, when Dewey does it in the first few movies, it's like, you know what, Dewey? It's just because he's invincible. He's Dewey. He's unkillable until Scream 5 comes around. But when it happens to these characters, it just doesn't have the same feeling because it doesn't have the same tone as the first few movies, and so it doesn't really fit as well. One thing leads to another, and they're like, we have to go to the theater to trap Ghostface. So they call Kirby, call Detective Bailey, go to the theater to trap Ghostface. Everyone's on their way there. Mindy and Ethan, the quirked up white boy, get separated at the train station from Chad and Tara, Sam, and Teddy, which is the hot boyfriend. And one of the best scenes in the movie is here, where so Mindy thinks Ethan's Ghostface, and she says that a million times, and it really hammers down on, I know you're Ghostface. You're Ghostface. Okay, Ghostface. Get your Ghostface out of here, dude. I don't want to see you. And she just says it over and over again. It's like, he's trying to, like, help you. Like, come on. And I understand. I mean, yeah, he is Ghostface. She ends up being right. But at the same time, well, I guess my argument is stupid then. So, never mind. It kind of makes sense, but it just, like, the line is played over so many times, it just kind of gets repetitive. But the subway scene is really great. It's super intense. It definitely reminded me of the Halloween 2018, like, sensor light scene, where Michael Myers is in the backyard, and it just, like, flickers on, off, on, off, on, off. You get that with the subway, with the lights turning off, and it's going through tunnels, and it's, like, on, off, on, off. I thought it was really cool, and it splices, like, you don't know who's Ghostface, because there's so many, it's Halloween, so many ghost faces, and I thought the Halloween setting was dope. I forgot to mention that in my review, but the Halloween setting is sick. Adds so much variety, because you don't know who is an actual Ghostface and who is just wearing a costume. So I really liked that part. Anyways, Ghostface goes and stabs Mindy, basically, like, kills her. She's, like, she, like, stabs her in the stomach, like, a few times, and then Ethan, like, is, like, watching her the whole time, trying to make sure she's okay, and he runs up and grabs her and calls for, like, an ambulance, a medic, takes her to the, like, paramedics, and they take her away, and then we cut back to the museum they're at, and Chad and Tara, like, kiss, and then Sam goes and takes a knife from Billy Loomis. It's the knife that he used, because she's worried, because Kirby has the only gun, and then Kirby goes and disappears for, like, 20 minutes, and then Detective Bailey calls in, and he's like, Sam, you have to get out of here. Kirby got fired from the FBI, like, 2 months ago. She is not on the case. Like, you have to run, because he dug up information on her earlier. And we don't know if this is true or not, actually, because it very well could be true. Most likely not, but it's just never brought up again. But yeah, Kirby is nowhere to be found, so Sam tries to run away, and then Ghostface, like, stops her, because it stabs Tara. He stabs Tara, and then her and Chad and Sam fight Ghostface, and Chad just beats the freak out of Ghostface. Like, he just beats him up, which I loved. I was like, you know what, dude? Let's go. You beat him, bro. Like, beat him up. It was awesome to see, like, Ghostface just get his due, you know? And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a second Ghostface comes in and attacks Chad, and they're, like, holding his arms and just, like, stabbing him, like, a million times. And he's like, run, run. And I was like, dude, they killed my boy Chad. No, how could they do this to me? And then Sam and Tara run back into the movie room or the theater, and a movie starts playing, and it's like a fake version. It's like a fan film of Scream. Detective Bailey runs up with his gun. Kirby runs up with her gun, and Sam and Tara are caught in the middle, and they're like yelling at each other, like, I know you're Ghostface, I know you're Ghostface. And Kirby's like, I was attacked, and she's all bloody, and Detective Bailey is like, shut up. And then Ghostface runs up behind Detective Bailey, and they're all like, look out, and he shoots Kirby. So she's shot, and she falls down, and he's like, I'm Ghostface, it's me. And she's like, you're Ghostface? And he's like, of course. I thought that was pretty funny. He's like, of course, I'm Ghostface. And I was like, you know what, that's dope, I like that. And so basically he's Ghostface, Detective Bailey is Ghostface, and then the other two Ghostface unmask, because he's not wearing a Ghostface costume, and it's Ethan and Quinn, who is not dead. Quinn, I guess her body was switched out. It's like a line of dialogue I didn't really like catch on to. I guess they switched out a little fake blood, I guess. And Ethan's like, I gotta go kill Mindy and Gail at the hospital. I gotta finish the job, so they don't figure it out. And here's what I liked. I loved that it's 3 Ghostfaces. That was awesome. I was like, you know what? Finally, they do something to switch it up, right? Because it's always been 2, or in Roman's case, 1, which is awesome. I love that formula. It makes it interesting. It makes you keep guessing. But I was hoping they'd switch out the number, or just do something fresh. And I think that they did something fresh enough with this, where it's 3 Ghostfaces. I loved that. I think it works out really well here. And then that it's Ethan and Quinn, and they end up being a family. And Detective Bailey is Ethan and Quinn's dad. And the whole movie, they're kind of talking about Quinn's dead brother. And it turns out that Quinn's dead brother is Richie Kirsch from Number 5. And Sam killed him. And he did not die in a car crash. And so Detective Bailey is like distraught because Richie loved the Stab movies. And he collected a ton of memorabilia about them and the real life killers. So the museum is his. And the films playing on the screen are Jack Quaid's, I'm guessing, or Richie's. Because you see Jack Quaid do like a cameo, like a young Jack Quaid talking about a holiday special. I'm guessing like he used to have like a YouTube channel or something that they took that footage from. Either way, it was really cool to see him incorporated there, because the whole movie is focused kind of on Richie a little bit. He's mentioned quite a bit, and they're like, Richie wasn't innocent, we know that, but like you killed him, you totally killed him. Like, we don't care about finishing his movie. We just want to kill you because, you know, you killed Richie, which is like, you know, it's good old-fashioned revenge. It's a fine motive, you know, not the worst in the franchise by far, but not like the best, not the most interesting. And the Ghostface reveal honestly was a little weak. I think it was Quinn. I knew Quinn, especially when she died off screen. Like, come on, dude. Ethan, it was pretty obvious when he wasn't there for Quinn's death and Annika's death. It's like, I'm at Econ. Yeah, okay, dude. Detective Bailey, I was kind of surprised, but he just kind of was acting weird the whole movie. So, like, looking back on it, I was like, oh, yeah. I mean, and I wasn't, like, hoping they wouldn't be Ghostface, because the movie doesn't do a very good job of setting up the characters in a way where you're like, oh, I hope it's not Ghostface, or I hope it is Ghostface. It doesn't really do that good of a job of setting them up. Definitely the weakest part of the movie is the Ghostface reveal of who it is and the characters. Motive is okay. I know people will hate it, and I liked the amount of ghost faces. Again, switches it up a little bit. I'm interested to see like a video, like, probably from Zach Cherry, of like who killed who in Scream 6, because there's 3, so that makes it really interesting. I mean, they do say that Quinn stabbed Gail and Mindy. Well, maybe they didn't say she stabbed Gail, but she stabbed Mindy. So it's really interesting to see like how everything went on, and obviously Ethan stabbed Annika, and I'm not sure how he did that. It was either Ethan or Detective Bailey that did Annika and Quinn's boyfriend. But yeah, I thought it was interesting, to say the least. And the whole third act takes place in that theater, the Richie Shrine. So that was pretty cool to see all that going on. And basically, Sam and Tara climb up a ladder to try to escape. They beat up Quinn and Ethan a little bit, and then Tara slips. Sam grabs her. It's that scene in the trailer where she's holding on, and Detective Bailey is like, who knows where. He's just laughing, letting his kids have their fun. And Quinn is like kind of walking towards with a knife, and Ethan is down below Tara, like slashing upwards, and he had like probably one of the greatest lines of all time. He's like, I've always wanted to stick something in you, Tara. And dude, everyone was dying. It was so funny. I was like, that's a great line. Like, it's just so funny. Um, and then Tara's like, let me go, because the whole movie she's like, you have to let me go, like, Sam, you gotta let her go, you're too overbearing. So she like lets Tara go, literally, which is corny, but it kind of works. She lets Tara go. Tara falls on top of Ethan, and Tara gets stabbed, and then Tara stabs Ethan in the mouth, like that, and it like goes through his throat. I don't know, and she like twists it, and then like takes the knife out, and he like falls over dead. And then Quinn, Sam pulls out a gun, because Sam has the gun that I don't know whose gun it is. It just like randomly appeared. Yeah, it just randomly appeared. Whose gun is it? Oh, Kirby's, I'm guessing. It looks like Kirby's gun, but they don't ever explain that. Huh. But yeah, Sam pulls out a gun, shoots Quinn in the head. So Quinn's dead. She's easily the weakest killer. She doesn't really get anything to do in the whole movie. It's like an afterthought. Like, it's nice that they did 3 because it makes it interesting, but also Quinn gets no development, like, at all before or after she dies, because she dies so early on. And then after the Ghostface reveal, she and Ethan are killed off like pretty quick, like within like 3 or 4 minutes of them being revealed. So they don't get their monologues, and then Detective Bailey is killed off pretty quick after. So anyways, shoots Quinn in the head. Her gun is empty, so she like bum rushes Detective Bailey, and instead of shooting her, he like runs at her too, and then he gets tackled and falls off and hits his head on the glass, and then he wakes up and everyone's gone, and the movie is playing, and he's like following, he's like trying to look and everything, and goes into the mannequin room, shoots all the mannequins, and sees that Billy Loomis's costume is gone. And then Sam calls him, and they have a conversation, what's your favorite scary movie? And then Sam attacks him and like stabs him a bunch of times in the chest and everything, and he's like bleeding out, and she's like, I'm not a murderer. And then like Tara comes out, and Sam's like, I was like, oh, maybe they're not gonna kill him. Like, this would be really interesting if they didn't kill him. I would love to see something where the Ghostface, maybe the Ghostface doesn't have to win. I'd prefer Ghostface winning, but maybe they can do a movie where Detective Bailey gets sent to prison and he's still alive, and he like orchestrates something from prison or anything like that. Something to keep it fresh and inventive. And then Sam just ends up stabbing him in the eye, which is a gnarly kill, a great kill, but also I was a little bummed by that. And then they sit down, have a great heart-to-heart moment about like how, Sam needs to let Tara go, but Tara wants her in her life. They need to figure out balance. And then Ethan runs out of nowhere, and Kirby pushes the TV that fell on Stumacher's head onto Ethan's head. And there's no like gore or blood or anything. He just like falls down, and you hear like him gurgling, and that's it. So a pretty weak kill. I definitely prefer the knife in the mouth to the TV, no matter how much of a sucker I am for nostalgia and the first Scream. I definitely think it could have been done a little bit better. Anyways, at the end of the movie, Mindy comes running out of nowhere. Teddy runs in with the cops, and he's like, I thought you could use some backup. And I was like, I like this guy. He's smart. And he's like, Gail's okay. Mindy's okay. Mindy's on her way here. And then they're outside, and Mindy pulls up, and she's like talking a million times, and she's like, did I miss the monologue again? And that was pretty funny. That was like one of the few Mindy lines I laughed at. And because she's like, Detective Bailey and Ethan are the killers, and they're like, and Quinn, and she's like, Quinn too? I missed the monologue. That was pretty fun. And then we hear, that Gail's okay, and then Tara starts crying because Chad's dead, and all of a sudden they're like, we got another one alive, and Chad comes wheeled out. No idea how he made it, dude. Like, he definitely should have died. He got stabbed a million times. So here's my issue with that is, like I said before with Gail, it seems like the filmmakers just don't have the balls to kill a major character. And this is like how it was in the first 4 Screams, right? None of them die, and that's fine. But movies evolved to a point nowadays where it's like, they talk about this in the movie and another, probably the only other scene of meta commentary, where the IP evolves above the characters. This is what's interesting, is it's very hypocritical. As they say, the IP evolves above the characters. The movie can carry on without the characters. The franchise can carry on without the characters, like Star Wars, Avengers, Friday the 13th, Halloween. Well, not Halloween, but, they do it without Laurie Strode. They do Nightmare on Elm Street without Nancy Thompson, etc., etc. They do Avengers without Iron Man. They do Star Wars without Luke Skywalker. And it's very interesting that they say that, and then they proceed to not kill any of the major characters in the film. Chad lives, even though he was stabbed a million times. Mindy lives, even though she was stabbed a bunch of times. And Gail lives, even though she was stabbed quite a few times as well. All of them by any means should have died. I think I would have preferred Gail dying or Mindy dying, just because I don't think Mindy gets a lot of development in this movie, and it would have been interesting to see one of the twins react to the other's death. And Chad, I think, is going to be like everyone's favorite in this movie. He's definitely like the Dewey of the franchise. So it would be interesting to see Gail or Mindy die and see how the others react to it. I definitely think it would have furthered the franchise in a good direction. And the movie kind of ends just with Sam looking. She has Billy's Ghostface mask, and then she drops it and leaves. And it would have been more interesting to see her take it with her. I would have liked to see that. I think the ending is kind of a letdown. The last 5 minutes are a little bit of a letdown, I won't lie. Either making it so Chad died, or Mindy died, or Sam takes the Ghostface mask. I think all would have been better endings. I'm not a writer. I'd certainly like to be one day, but I think that maybe just to keep the franchise fresh and interesting, they could have done that. Overall, again, I love the movie. I thought it was done very well. But yeah, the Ghostface reveal didn't really work for me. I thought they really didn't get a chance to like ham it up after, which is my favorite part of the Scream movies. And the motive was decent. You know, it's understandable. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, it's like a Mrs. Loomis motive. But it's pretty cool because Ethan actually wears Mrs. Loomis's mask. So that was pretty cool because, you know, their motive is revenge, and he's wearing the killer that wanted revenge. Along with Roman, I think, wanted revenge as well. But I thought it was very interesting just how that played out. Again, the 3 killers, awesome. Loved that. Who the killers were, not so good. But the kills themselves were great and brutal. I definitely think that the movie kind of falls apart in the last 10 minutes. Not falls apart in a way where it's irredeemable, but it doesn't finish as strong as it could. It doesn't finish as strong as, let's say, like Scream 1 or Scream 4. Well, Scream 4 doesn't finish that strong either, let's be real. It doesn't finish as strong as like Scream 1 or like Scream 5. I think a lot of the Scream movies definitely have issues with the last few minutes. Just kind of knowing how to end the movie definitely kind of falls a little bit. I think Scream 5 and Scream 1 have the best endings when it comes to the last few minutes. Scream 2's is okay as well. But yeah, it's just like, it felt a little off. I mean, I liked the happy ending for Tara and Sam, even though we know they're going to be back for Scream 7. They're definitely going to make this. Scream 7 coming soon. But yeah, it was good. I liked Scream 6. I definitely have a lot of issues with it. However, I love the Scream movies. They're like my favorite horror franchise of all time. So I'll pretty much like anything they put out. I gotta be real. But yeah, I thought the movie was great. Easily on par with 5 for my favorite sequel. My ranking goes 1, probably 5 and 6 tied. 4, 2, and 3. But yeah, go ahead and check it out. I really enjoyed it. Have you guys seen Scream 6? What were your thoughts on the spoilers? Thoughts on the deaths? You know, what did you think about who was Ghostface? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What do you want to see in Scream 7, if there is a Scream 7? And as always, I'm Carter. Have a great rest of your day.